Hi, it's a Joey Reynolds musical rap. Well, I was going to play for you, but I broke a string. This hasn't happened since I was a pole dancer. Very exciting night. Well, there goes that. But it's my Felix guitar, which is from Don Oriolo, who is his father had drawn the first cartoons. Felix the Cat, black and white. You've seen those things, right? They run them every once in a while. I think it was before Mickey Mouse. This is the original Mickey Mouse, you know. We have a Mickey Mouse government right now. I think this one here was United Artists. See, before it was even Buena Vista. Mickey's Good Deed. Mickey's Good Deed right now would be to go to Fantasia and maybe brew up some sort of a potion for the governor. Something for him to drink. Maybe a little humility. that would help. A new drink called Humble. They have Humble Oil, but they certainly outlived that name. All right, so I got my guitar here, and I'm all set to play, and I'm just out of music. You know, Les Paul and I were best of friends, and he taught me a lot. I stood there on the stage every Monday night at the 8 o'clock show, and I did a little warm-up. And Les would teach me how to do stand-up. I think the best lesson he ever had was he would pull out his phone and say, "There's a call for you," which means get off the stage. You're not funny. That happened a lot. Yeah, you learn by failing. See, that's what happens. But I never wore a tie. I mean, you know that. Now we're going to bring them back. See, we got to bring style back. This is the white community sparking again now. You know, the black community was setting all the fashions and all the great looks. Now the black community is wearing ties. So everybody's got to change somewhere along the line. I don't know why we have the first of everything. Why do we have that? You know, I was the first of the shock jocks. Okay, big deal. Today, what was it? The first black person to do this, the first black person to do that, the first Asian to do this, the tallest person, the oldest person in the world died, 119 years old. She's a Japanese lady. What were going away words were, you know, I mean, what do you say? It just say, you know, it's gone, it's over. And, you know, on the way out, you could really tell people what you always thought. But isn't it funny how when you get older, you get sweet? You don't really want to tell them. But when you're a little younger, you're thinking, boy, when I die, am I going to lay it on them? I'm going to tell them exactly what I thought all this time. But then you get older and you start to get sweet. And you can't remember what you were mad at. See, I've outlived all of my enemies. Now I'm working on my friends. They're not too happy with me. I use a coupon for my grave, and I got a twofer. But I don't know if anybody want to join me, because I don't have. Listen, I'm going to go alone, I think, and nobody wants to be buried right next to me, because there will be some sort of a spillover, I'm sure. But some people don't want to be buried; they want to be cremated, and that's a choice. You know, others want to just stay forever, like congressmen and senators. They sit there and molt and rot. No, we die at an appropriate age. I don't know what that is, but I don't know whether the young people are trying to get rid of the old people, or just the old ideas, or both. Because some of the old ideas still work, you know. Some of the old people can't work, but the old ideas still work. And you have to learn them from somebody. You know, there's a sense of history that's missing. And I think I'm one of those guys that provides a bridge. See, I'm old enough to have been through a lot, and I'm young enough thinking to know that it's all a bunch of crap. That's what young people know. You know that already. You got to really respect the fact that when I was a kid and I went for a job, all the positions were taken, because the world wasn't like it is now with all the separation. When I went in to look for a job, you had to wait till someone died before you got in there, or until if your father owned the business, you had to move someone around. I mean, there was no way that you were going to get into anything, because everything was filled. But these days, nobody wants to work, so everything's open. You can be anything you want to be now. You can even be a lawyer without practicing law. You could. Hey, a lot of people do this, you know. Hey, I don't mean criminals. I'm talking about just regular folks. You know, they got all these opinions. Where do people get all these opinions from? You know, the experts. They know everything. No matter what's going on in your life, they've Googled it. Listen. I've lived through Google. I've lived through Yoda. I've lived through Ouija boards. I lived through playing Monopoly, Sorry, and Chance. And I'll tell you, when you get down to it, you realize that they're all a bunch of games. And then what you got to do is you have to just ignore what everybody says and do what you know anyway. And if they get in the way, you just got to push them over. Say, you're in my way right now. Hey, I always tell everybody, you know, there's a difference when somebody gets in an elevator and they're on your shoe and they're standing on you. Now, there's a difference between someone that steps on you, which is a mistake or an accident, or someone standing on you. Now, someone standing on your foot, that person has to be removed quickly and placed somewhere else. So this is the life lesson. You learn all these things. You learn that life is short, precious, wonderful, and nobody gets through this thing without any scars. You know, you better get a good medical plan, and I'm not talking about United Healthcare, although that one's not too bad. You know, we have the union, speaking of that, with the AFTRA and the SAG. I mean, I have been before and AFTRA. That's what happens when you are a member of my union. Then you become, at this point, a member of SAG. So what we do with our union now is they don't want to pay for nothing. And they want us to pay for our own medical now. And I saw the latest scam, which is, I think it's Allstate, where they tell you that even if you have an accident, they won't raise the rates. But what they really do is they charge you more if you're on that plan, which is the non-raised rate plan. I forget what they call that again, but it's if you have an accident and you have the special policy, which you're paying more for anyway. I mean, what is this, like a 2-for-1 sale, which is what I ought to do with my grave. I got to do, yeah, you know, or share. I got a grave share. It's a Joey B&B. Come on, lay right down here next to me when you're dead. What do I care? You know, just throw dirt on both of us. And, you know, they don't throw dirt on people in the graves anymore. They use this very expensive box. I don't know why. I mean, is if someone dig your grave up and they see Tiffany on it or Cartier or some great name? Yeah, mine would be the Gap. Something missing all the time. But I love what Walt Disney did. You go back to him now. You know, he was frozen. And that's a smart thing to do, you know, to sleep through all of this. And then later on, when the dust settles and people calm down and there's only a few of us left on the planet, then you get thawed out. And you come back and you say, oh, gee, what a great life this is. There's nobody around. No traffic jams. Yeah, that's because we just had nuclear war with Russia. That's why, you idiot. Give me slap him across the face. Now, do you think we're going to go to nuclear war? Now, you know, in the old neighborhood, when I lived in Harlem, we call that selling wolf tickets. That's when someone would play the big bad wolf. They get out there and tell you, hey, you know, we're gonna nuke you if you do this. And nobody was going to nuke anybody. What you're going to, you know, Putin's lucky he uses his goddamn microwave. That's what he's going to nuke. It's unbelievable how we are afraid of these people. We live in fear. F-E-A-R, false evidence assumed real. And all of this in our heads that we think someone's going to hurt us or someone's going to destroy us. And all these missiles that are going into the air, and they're just, all they're doing is ruining the environment. You know, we have a conference on global warming, and you got 3 countries setting off missiles. Now, that doesn't make sense, does it? And we're burning up all the fuel that could really go to people who are starving in Africa and places where the continent of Africa, Africa is not a country. Just so, I don't know if you learned this or not, a lot of people don't know this. I know when they talk about it, they act like Africa is a place that you go to like California, you know. But it's not. It's a continent, and it has a lot of countries in Africa. They need help in some of them because they don't have what we have. They don't have the luxuries that we have, like washers and dryers. No, like water and gas and oil. That's what they just did in Russia. They just cut off everybody in Poland and I think somewhere else, Bulgaria, so that they they don't have the privilege of their gas and their oil, so they can punish everybody because we have been guilty of getting in the way of their hostile takeover of the world. Somewhere along the line, someone is going to figure this out, and there's going to be a karma judge. It's going to be what they call karma. Where you pay for your sins. We'd like to see it happen while the guy's still alive. That's we want to waterboard this sucker. That's what we want to do. And the whole country of Russia is just so tardy. You know why? Because they had 50 years of ignorance. That's why. They didn't have to do anything, think of anything. They were out of toilet paper, toothpaste, and their minds. And they had 50 years of that wall in Berlin and the dictators that were running the country and the people who had, in the Jewish tradition, if you saw Fiddlers on the Roof, they call it a pogrom when the Russians would come in and disrupt the village. It's a pogrom. Well, if that's what Putin is doing, a pogrom on the Ukraine, I think he's fiddling on the wrong roof. I think, oh God, why me? I wonder how this guy can stay religious. He's got all these churches and everything over there. How do you stay religious when you're killing people? It's an interesting thought, isn't it? How do you remain part of the divine when you are destroying whatever God created? How about that for a question? That would be a good one to ask on Judge Judy. But this is it. It's I think I've gone over my time limit here, and I got to go out and buy a string. I've had a string of failures. It's a Reynolds wrap.